Next up on Investor Connect, we'll be joined by the CEO of Kinatico. The ticker code is KYP. His name is Michael Ivanchenko, and he's got some big plans for this SaaS Australian regtech business. Let's take a listen.
Hello, my name's Michael Ivanchenko. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Kinatico, ASX KYP. Kinatico is a provider of simplified compliance management software for organisations. Its mission is to save admin time, overhead, reduce the effort that is required across an organisation to not only fulfil all of their compliance obligations, both regulatory and procedural, but then be able to recall and display that information in a secure, instant way. Today I'd love you to take you through some of the progress we've achieved over the last 6 months on our trajectory that we've been achieving over the last 2 years. If we look at some of our recent results announced over H1, we've seen the ongoing increase in top-line revenue, but most importantly for us with our target, our increase in our SaaS revenue, and our SaaS platform based around the simplification of daily workforce compliance management. An increase to $6.5 million for the half year, annualised at now $13 million. To put that in perspective, 2 years ago that was less than $2 million. That was when we launched the compliance product, moving away from purely the screening sector under the brand of CV Check, and introduced our compliance offering. What we've seen as a result of that is not only to move the company from loss-making to profit, but also cash accretion, and all while investing over $8 million over the last 2 years in product development. And what we now have, that recently announced, the launch of our new compliance platform, Compliance X, which I'll be going through shortly. But significant to note that not only have we seen the transformation of the organisation with top-line revenue growth, the move to profitability, we've been able to, at the same time, invest that amount of money while staying cash positive. So had we not been investing in the product for the future, we would have been generating numerous millions of dollars of free cash at the bottom line. So I think it's quite unusual for a microcap tech stock to be able to not only demonstrate the growth, not only demonstrate the increase in profitability, but to fund our own investment, all the while having $10 million in cash reserves in the bank. So we look at what that actually looks like in terms of the effect it's had on our business, and we see there from the chart, the red bars indicating our investment in tech, and then the effect of the generation of the SaaS revenue that's now been overlaid to the traditional revenue. There is no question that the screening industry or pre-employment screening is a declining or even commoditised market space, and we've seen that certainly with other players in the market. But the pivot to moving into the ongoing functions of compliance in any organisation on a daily basis has seen us leverage those relationships, leverage that customer base, and introduce new ones to be able to demonstrate the SaaS growth that we are seeing here. Some of the customer wins and the labels that we've added during H1. Every one of our either quarterly or half-year updates, we've always added the demonstration of new customer wins. There's been no slowdown of those new signings that we've seen. There is no question that the demand in the marketplace for simplifying the overhead that organisations are increasingly feeling, whether it is as a result of ESG, whether it is a result of shareholder expectation or the liabilities and penalties organisations now face, that the demand in the marketplace is very strong. Combined with any offering that reduces the number of platforms and systems that need to be managed is welcomed, and that is translating into the results. Our target industries that we go after at the moment predominate around education, healthcare, being aged care, disability care, primary care, industrials and energy, whether it's mining or electrical wholesale providers, but then also government sectors, and government has probably been our fastest growing sector, certainly in the number of wins, and I'm very pleased to share the information that we have been added to the New South Wales Treasury Department panel as an approved provider for both screening and ongoing monitoring and management of staff. What that means is it gives us the right to play without any of the jumping through all of the initial hoops in getting into new government departments with which we've already had strong success. But also in the commercial sector, it gives us a hell of a lot of credibility from our capabilities, our security, our approach, etc. When we've been signed off by government, it certainly makes it a lot easier for us in the corporate space. But the main thing we have been talking about over the last few weeks is the launch of the platform we've been working on, ComplianceX. ComplianceX brings together all of the things that we've been working on and then combines that with the feedback we've received from our customers and potential customers over the last 2 years. This is about delivering an aggregated platform that takes all of the data sources within your organisation, simplifies the display, the access, the security around all of those touch points, and also provides a secure means of communicating with your workforce via a mobile application to instantly and simply complete whatever task they are assigned. Whether that is an onboarding task, whether it is an ongoing learning task, whether it's policy and procedural, or whether it is an obligation to fill some kind of regulatory submission. The platform is able to take care of all of that in a very simple way. The feedback we've received from our customers around the product is very strong. We believe it opens up a lot of new opportunities for us. We believe it puts us in a very strong position to accelerate our growth, both top-line revenue and for our profitability. So what exactly is it? So the way we like to think about it is that it changes the management of your workflow in your organisation the same way Uber did for rideshare or Canva did for design. It synchronises all the various screening, validation, compliance and procedural systems and ad hoc data systems into a single, simple, secure, self-service platform. It is designed to help you know your people, but without creating an onerous administrative burden in your organisation to achieve that outcome. In terms of what it delivers for customers, this is about taking away the angst of non-compliance. What we see in the field today is so many organisations at some point or another in their chain will even be doing this with Excel. Whether they have multiple systems that don't talk to each other, whether they have no means of tracking feedback from staff when a policy or a procedural change is rolled out. Not only are organisations then exposed to the issues related to non-compliance, but then the rectification or the modification of procedures post is a hell of a lot more onerous than solving it in the first place. The way we think about this is freeing both the workers and the management up to focus on their day job. So the problems they face, whether it's complex and multiple confusing systems, the obvious concerns that everyone in business has today about cybersecurity and system failures, or delayed decision making because the information isn't at hand, takes a while to compile, has to be combined with other systems. Not only does that delay the timing, but then potentially leads to the wrong decisions, and all the while having disconnected or siloed pieces of information. What ComplianceX does is digitise the people workflow management and then provides a drag and drop interface to actually allocate that functionality across the organisation. Literally as simple as entering a policy on procedure that the platform allows you to create and then dropping it onto a role, a department, a location, the whole organisation. It is instantly disseminated, it is escalated and tracked until complete, and all the while marked in real time on dashboards and insights that can actually be then leveraged in other ways. All data is secure and encrypted. It is actually designed from the ground up as secure data transfer and storage. This is not an afterthought of how do we secure it. It is security by design. All of the functions, as I say, can be instantly created. If you have a task or a procedure that needs to be developed and disseminated, rather than relying on a template that a third-party software developer needs to issue or produce, they can be generated in the platform itself, including some very clever smarts with some AI basis to actually help prompt and accelerate that process further. All the responses are real-time, coming back in dashboards that actually instantly display the progress and status, and the ability to integrate to other platforms and in two-way sync where necessary, and other platforms support that functionality to get a unified view across your organisation. The final piece within that product launch is no doubt a key one, simplifying the pricing. What we have found in the deployment we've achieved over the last 2 years is a strong desire to have these simplified features. The initial phase of actually getting networks on board and getting them launched and wanting to try the platform is the area that deserves focus. And that's what we've done with the new pricing model. Not only does it allow a very simple per worker per month price to actually access all of the platform and then access external verifications and screenings as required on top of that, or at the top tier have those included, we are also going to offer this to Australian businesses with 5 staff or less for nothing, to allow them to achieve the same level of compliance as larger organisations. Not only does this increase our awareness and becomes part of our marketing force, but also allows us to continue to build the insights, the understandings and the data knowledge across our platform. The cost to serve for running the base platform is negligible, so it doesn't actually expose us to any kinds of liability around that. But what does it mean in terms of a market size? The regtech business in Australia has a total market size today of around $1.2 billion. That is increasing year on year at a double-digit CAGR. When we distill that down to the play of what we believe we can achieve in the serviceable, obtainable market, we believe every percentage point of penetration currently is worth about $10 million worth of revenue. Our penetration into the space is sub that space. So we're at the beginning of that curve. There is no one else out there that is providing the type of solution we are that combines everything from the external validation and access to credential information all the way through to procedural and ongoing learning and policy management. Of course, there are others that provide different parts of the chain, but no one focusing on the simplicity of the UX, the simplicity of the experience and the ability to save time. So the benefits for us, the benefits for our shareholders, not only are we in a bit of a green field with a large opportunity, we're in a market that is growing at an exponential rate at the same time. We've demonstrated the execution in what we've achieved to date, and at the same time building for tomorrow, and we're ready to actually start taking that step. So whether we achieve the ongoing growth and continue to do that and have increasing amounts of that revenue fall to the bottom line, or alternatively, quite frankly, probably more likely become very attractive for other global players to either replicate or acquire what we've done, we do believe our future is bright. So to summarise, what does the platform do? Everything from hiring through to offboarding, all of the tasks, all of the roles that a disparate piece of information in an organisation that have to be tracked, all the while freeing up an organisation to focus on their day jobs, to focus on increasing productivity and output, all the while having the confidence around the status, visibility and security of knowing their people.
In business, knowing your people isn't just important, it's essential. But managing screening, validation and compliance can be complex. That's why Kinatico is revolutionising people management workflow, just like Uber did for travel and Canva for design. We streamline scattered systems into one seamless, secure and synchronised solution, giving you real-time visibility over your workforce and keeping you on top of compliance requirements. With Kinatico, the future of people management workflow is here. Are you ready?
And we still have Michael Ivanchenko here with us, the CEO of Kinatico, to answer a couple of your questions. Michael, thank you. Ines has written in, I guess just on your revenue, up 9% from last year, pointing out that Compliance X could be a real game changer. So asking just how much more can we expect in terms of growth in FY25, and also with new customer wins like Ampler Health?
So we believe we're at the start of that growth journey. The growth we've achieved has been with the products that we've actually had in market and iteratively achieved. The fact that we've taken all of that customer feedback, all of that experience over the last 2 years and put that into a product like Compliance X, we believe now sets us up to actually accelerate that top line growth. The other one that I don't think actually gets noticed even with the achievement of the growth we've had is that the traditional CV check revenue as it was, that entire sector of pre-employment screening is going backwards. So the fact that we've managed to achieve the 9% top line revenue growth is actually a larger testament as to the demand of the SaaS product.
And what about new customer wins? How do you go about making sure that you're staying ahead of the pack?
It's always the challenge with any platform. The moment you release it, the moment everybody else will claim they have exactly the same functionality. And we will continue to iterate. We have a 2-year plan of all of the things that we will add to the platform to actually incrementally add to it. But at the same time, by far and away, the majority of the core engineering work is done, so that we can actually see a tail off of our engineering spend, our capitalisation that we've had to put in to get to that product, but still achieve new features. But the other sort of comment I would put around that is that everybody thinks software is really easy when they see really easy software to use. Doing that is really hard.
Yeah, right. Okay, I think that kind of dovetails into a question from Michael, talking about Compliance X, saying you say it will simplify workflows like Uber did with rideshare. But how are you staying ahead of big players like Safety Culture or Elmo, for example? And I think this is really key. What's stopping them from copying it?
And it's a great question, right? It also ties into the market size that we put out there. You've got, if there's a total addressable market currently today of $1.2 billion, there's plenty of room for multiple players, A. But B, again, this experience, what we have in the offering is not only this combined access to data sources that has been built up in CV Check over 17 years. You can't just achieve those and add those overnight, particularly with all of the accreditations, etc. required. The other one is that the platform design is not something that you can go, oh, we should do that too, and plug it on the side of what we have now. The simplification of that workflow is foundational. So to replicate what we have done, well, it's software. Of course, anybody is able to do it. It's a lot of work. It is not something that tomorrow they can turn up and say, here we go.
Okay. From Christian, thank you, Christian, for the question, saying cash accretive and investing in product scale. So 2 ticks from this investor, but asking when Kinatico will turn a solid profit, especially with all the new features rolling out.
So we've been moving at basically about 100% increase in our NPAT for the last 2 years, and but at the same time still cleaning up what was the legacy position of the company and moving into this SaaS space. We've been operating on what we refer to as the 3 horizons model, coined by McKinsey, and this first phase being the transformation of the organisation. We feel we're getting to the end of that. The next phase we're targeting is now to leverage that into growth. So the phase for the next 3 years is to really drive top line accretive revenue and therefore increase the profit, but also look at other opportunities we have to expand the reach of the product, because Compliance X has much wider reaching applicability, not only overseas, but even in other sectors. All of that in that next phase that we're now approaching should lead us to achieve that greater profitability.
Okay. And this is from Mark. So talking about, well, I guess the size of the compliance market you just referenced, how much of that do you think that Kinatico can grab in the next 3 to 5 years?
And that's the ultimate question.
Yeah.
Without saying what we think we can, what we're going after, what we're all excited to pursue is the fact that we know as a microcap we go into a different tier when we get above $50 million worth of rev. We're circa 30 something now. We need that jump and we need to get there as quickly as possible. We think that is very achievable.
Okay. And what is your plan to hit that 8 to 10% share? Is that a plan to hit an 8 to 10% share?
It's certainly a desire.
Okay. It's a goal.
It's a goal.
Yeah.
It's a goal. And we don't see any reason why we can't.
Okay.
We have everything in place, product-wise, structure-wise, management, leadership team-wise. We have the resources to call on with our cash balance, etc., of where we need to accelerate business development or anything like that. So the goal is there in front of us to execute.
Michael Ivanchenko, CEO of Kinatico, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.